Hello guys, and welcome back to TechWolf. Today we are going to do Cisco practice test, and we will start from test 1 on this website. And if you will find this video useful, guys, as always, consider subscribing to the channel. On this channel you will find lots of free resources where you can study for yourself. I know that you like to watch these videos, as some of you have said under my videos, guys, but consider doing these tests for yourself, and this resource Skill Test Pro is absolutely free, where you can go and do CCNA tests for free. And before you take the exam, make sure that you have done at least 1000 exam questions and practice tests before you take the exam. No further ado, let's get into it. What IPv6 transition method allowed IPv6 packets to be encapsulated inside IPv4 packets for compatibility? Dual stack, NAT64, DNS64, Teredo, or EUI64? And here the correct answer would be Teredo, as Teredo encapsulates IPv6 packets inside IPv4 to enable IPv6 connectivity across IPv4 only networks. A network administrator needs to limit bandwidth usage for a specific application on Cisco router. Which feature should be used? Access Control List, or ACLs, Quality of Service, or QoS, VLAN tagging, Spanning Tree Protocol, or OSPF cost? And here the correct answer would be Quality of Service, or QoS, as Quality of Service manages bandwidth allocation by prioritizing or restricting traffic based on specific rules. What does the command switch port mode dynamic desirable do on a switch interface? Forces the port into access mode, forces the port into trunk mode, disables trunking, sets the port to block all VLAN traffic, or allows the port to negotiate trunking if the other side is also set to negotiate. And here the correct answer is allows the port negotiate trunking if the other side is also set to negotiate. And here is the correct answer. Dynamic desirable actively attempts to form a trunk with other switch using DTP, or Dynamic Trunking Protocol. Which spanning tree protocol version allows for faster convergence and multiple spanning tree instances? STP, RSTP, MSTP, PBST+, or BPDU? And here the correct answer is MST, as multi-spanning tree, or MST, enables faster convergence and allows multiple spanning tree instances to optimize VLAN paths. What happens when a router receives a packet with destination IP that is not in its routing table? The router drops the packet, the router sends an ARP request, the router forwards it to the next available neighbor, the router sends an ICMP redirect, or the router assigns a default route. So which one would be the correct answer here? And here the correct answer is the router drops the packet, as if no default route is configured, the router drops the packet and sends an ICMP destination unreachable message. What type of DNS record maps a domain name to an IPv6 address? A record, MX record, AAA record, PTR record, or CNAME record? And here the correct answer would be AAA record, as AAA is IPv6 and A records would be IPv4. As AAA, A record, Quad A map domain names to IPv6 addresses, while A record map to IPv4 addresses. A network engineer needs to establish a secure site-to-site VPN between two offices. Which protocol should be used? L2TP, PPTP, SNMP, IPsec, or Telnet. And here the correct answer would be IPsec. As IPsec provides encryption, authentication, and secure tunnels for site-to-site VPN connections. A router is configured with both OSPF and EIGRP for different network segments. A destination is reachable via both protocols. Which router will be preferred in a routing table? The OSPF route, the EIGRP route, the route with the longest prefix match, the route learned first, or the route with the highest metric. And here the correct answer would be the route with the longest prefix match, as the longest prefix match, most specific subnet mask, is the primary factor in route selection before administrative distance. Which command would an administrator use to verify the status of a trunk port on a Cisco switch? Show IP interface brief, show interface is trunk, show running config, show VLAN brief, or show MAC address table. And for your CCNA exam, make sure that you know all these show commands, as they will 100% come up in CCNA exam. And here the correct answer would be show interface is trunk, as show interface is trunk command displays active trunk ports and VLANs they are allowing. A network administrator wants to configure a switch to prevent unauthorized devices from connecting to a specific ports. Which feature should be implemented? Port mirroring, VLAN trunking, port security, STP, or BPDU guard. And here the correct answer is port security, as port security allows a switch to restrict access based on MAC addresses, preventing unauthorized devices from connecting. What is the default administrative distance of OSPF? 90, 100, 110, 120, or 170? And here the correct answer is 110, as OSPF has a default administrative distance of 110, while EIGRP has 90 and RIP or RIP has 120. What type of NAT maps multiple private IP addresses to a single public IP? Static NAT, dynamic NAT, port address translation or PAT, overlapping NAT, or loopback NAT? And here the correct answer is port address translation PAT, as PAT, also called NAT overload, maps multiple private IPs to a single public IP by using different port numbers. What does CDP, Cisco Discovery Protocol, primarily provide? Encrypted data transfer, neighbor device information, IP address assignment, traffic monitoring, or VPN connectivity. And here the correct answer is neighbor device information, as CDP allows Cisco devices to share information about directly connected neighbors, such as device model and interface details. A router has multiple static routes to the same destination. Which one will be used? The one with the highest metric? The one with the lowest administrative distance? The one with the longest subnet mask? The one configured last? Or the one with the most next hop addresses? And here the correct answer is the one with the longest subnet mask, as when multiple static routes exist, the router prefers the one with the longest subnet mask, most specific match. Which protocol is used to dynamically assign IP addresses to host? NAT, DHCP, ARP, ICMP, or BGP? And this, I believe, is very easy question, and here's the correct answer is DHCP, as DHCP dynamically assigns IP addresses, subnet masks, and gateway to host in a network. Which ACL type inspects both source and destination IP addresses? Standard ACL, named ACL, reflexive ACL, extended ACL, or dynamic ACL? And here's the correct answer is extended ACL, as extended ACL filter traffic based on source destination IP, protocol and port numbers for more granular control. What type of OSPF network type requires a DR designated router and BDR backup designed router? Point-to-point, broadcast, non-broadcast multi-access, loopback, or stub? And here's the correct answer is broadcast, as OSPF broadcast network, a designated router DR and backup designated router BDR reduce overhead by managing neighbor relationships. What is the main purpose of a STP or spanning tree protocol? Enable VLAN trunking, prevent broadcast storms and loops, provides dynamic IP addressing, encrypts data transmissions, or enhances routing efficiency. And here the logical answer is prevents broadcast storms and loops, as STP prevents layer 2 loops by blocking redundant switch links while still allowing redundancy for failover. What type of attack involves an attacker flooding a switch's CAM table with fake MAC addresses? So what's the name of that attack? Man in the middle, denial of service, MAC address flooding, MAC address spoofing, or ARP poisoning? And here the correct answer is MAC address flooding. As in a MAC address flooding attack, the switch's content addressable memory or CAM table is overwhelmed, forcing it to flood traffic to all ports. What is the primary function of trunk link in VLAN configurations? Carries multiple VLANs over a single link, blocks broadcast traffic, carries only untagged traffic, allows inter-VLAN routing, connects only end-user devices. And here's the correct answer is carries multiple VLANs over a single link. A trunk link allows multiple VLANs to pass over a single physical connection using 802.1q or ICL tagging. A switch receives a frame with a destination MAC address that is not in its MAC table. What will the switch do? Drop the frame, forward it to the default gateway, send an ICMP request, flood the frame out all ports except the source port, generate an ARP request. And here the correct answer would be flood the frame out to all ports except the source port. And if switch does not have the MAC address in its table, it floods the frame to all ports except the one it was received on. So this is pretty much the broadcasting. What protocol is used for secure remote access to network devices and encrypts all communication? Telnet, RSH, FTP, SSH, or HTTP? And here the correct answer is SSH, or Secure Shell, encrypts remote access communication, unlike Telnet, which transmits data in plain text. Which layer of the OSI model is responsible for reliable communication and error recovery? Physical, data link, network, transport, or session? And here we need to know OSI model. And here the correct answer is transport, as the transport layer or layer 4 provides the reliable communication, error detection, and retransmission using protocols like TCP. A network engineer wants to set a router to use DHCP to obtain its IP address. Which command should they use? IPDHCP enable, service DHCP, DHCP pool dynamic, IPDHCP client, or IP address DHCP. And here the correct answer is IPDA. No, not that one, but IP address DHCP should be the correct. The IP address DHCP command allows the router interface to dynamically obtain an IP address from DHCP server. What type of address is FE80 1 in an IPv6 network? Global unicast, multicast, link local, anycast, or loopback. So what type of address is this? And the correct answer here is link local, as IPv6 FE80 /10 addresses are link local and automatically assigned to every IPv6 enabled interface for local network communication. A router in a network is receiving two identical OSPF routes with different cost values. Which router will be installed in the routing table? The router with the highest cost, the router with the lowest cost, both routes will be installed, the router from the router with the lowest IP address, or the router from the router with the highest OSPF priority. And here the correct answer is the router with the lowest cost, as OSPF prefers the router with the lowest cost metric if multiple paths exist with equal cost. OSPF performs equal cost load balancing. A network administrator needs to verify the bandwidth of an interface and view errors, collisions, and drops. Which command should they use? So to view errors, collisions, and drops, show interfaces, show running config, show IP interface brief, show version, or show VLAN. So which command should they use? And the correct answer here is show interfaces, as the show interfaces command provides detailed statistics about interface, including bandwidth, errors, drops, and collision counts. A router in an EIGRP network has lost its successor route and is searching for an alternative path. What action does it take? Transitions to a passive state, broadcasts a RIP request, sends a query packet to its neighbor, enters a hold down state, flushes all routing table entries. And here the correct answer is sends a query packet to its neighbors. When an EIGRP router loses its successor route and has no feasible successor, it sends query packet to its neighbors asking for an alternative path. A company is implementing VLANs and needs to ensure inter-VLAN communication. Which device is required? Layer 2 switch, hub, router, layer 3 switch, or bridge? And the correct answer here is layer 3 switch, as a layer 3 switch can perform routing between VLANs using SVIs, switched virtual interfaces, or routed interfaces, eliminating the need for an external router. A network engineer is configuring OSPF on a router with multiple interfaces. They need to prevent OSPF hello packet from being sent on an interface but still include network in OSPF topology. Which command should be used? Network area, IP OSPF priority 0, IP OSPF cost, passive interface, or no shutdown. And correct answer here is passive interface command should be used, as the passive interface command prevents OSPF hello packets from being sent on an interface, while still allowing the network to be advertised in OSPF. And yes guys, these were another 30 questions. I guess we answered them all correctly, so our score is 100%. Here are all these questions. And yes, I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, leave a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.